Hello, Princeton Elementary School staff, students, and parents. This is J.D. Orwig, Superintendent at Princeton Elementary, District 115, and I'm here to give you my next YouTube newsletter today. And I'm going to joke with you right from the beginning here because I think today's video is going to be more me being Mr. Orwig, the weatherman, than me being Mr. Orwig, your superintendent. And let me explain why. In the last newsletter video to all you folks, I explained how we are an e-learning approved district this year. And we are certainly going to have the luxury this year during inclement weather days to be able to use e-learning days in lieu of a traditional snow day, to where we don't have to make up an e-learning day at the end of the school year. But I needed to backpedal a little bit, staff, students, and parents, in that I feel like I sold in the last video to you how I might be a little bit quicker just to use e-learning days on bad forecasted weather this year. Maybe just some predictions that before we might have waited to see what was going to happen before we completely called school. And certainly e-learning kind of gives us that luxury. But what I wanted to backpedal on, everybody, is this. We still recognize at Princeton Elementary that, just like I said in the last video, an e-learning approved day is not going to be like a regular in-person student attendance day. We recognize still at Princeton Elementary that kids being at school is ideally what we want. For you parents that are working parents that have trouble getting daycare on special days like that when we have to call school because of weather, we recognize that that's intrusive to your schedules and difficult. So at the end of the day, we know we still want the kids in the school. And we know the kids are safe in schools for the most part. We know that kids are warm and fed and cared for and nurtured in schools. And they're obviously going to learn better with in-person learning than they're going to the e-learning. So please know right away, parents, kids know right away, staff know right away. We're still going to try to get kids in school. I didn't want to give everybody the false impression that we're going to be really, really quick in just using e-learning days this year. So I want to kind of be clear on that. Another thing I want to be clear on, just remember, we have 5 e-learning days to use, only 5. If we end up having a bad winter here, even though it's starting out nice, anything after the 5th e-learning day will have to be made up. We have to make up 5 snow days by law if we go beyond the e-learning days. 5. Which means, here's a worst case scenario, parents, students, and staff. Worst case scenario is the last student attendance day for this school year could be as late as May 31st. The last staff attendance day could be as late as June 3rd, which is a Teachers Institute. Again, I'm not predicting that. Again, history says we won't have that many days to use. But if you're planning already on some early summer vacations and things like that, be sensitive to those dates. School could, at worst, for students, go as late as May 31st, and for staff, as late as June 3rd. So just be sensitive to that moving forward. In terms of my other weatherman thing, I was really enlightened in a webinar I attended recently through the National Weather Service and a local meteorologist. This year, we might experience something just from a newsworthy standpoint on inclement weather. I was informed through the National Weather Service and this webinar, that snow events or winter events are going to be looked at in a 48-hour window, everybody. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, if 6 inches of snow are projected for some upcoming weather event, if just a half an inch starts at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, that 48 hours after that, a weather meteorologist still might call for a winter weather advisory. Now, that might get people that are really sensitive to winter weather conditions, and we oftentimes need to be, already kind of in a little bit of a panic mode. The reality is, the next 5.5 inches of snow might not even be projected in the event until 36 hours later, maybe 40 hours later. But a snow or winter weather event is going to be placed in a 48-hour window. Why am I bringing that up, students, staff, and parents? Because a winter weather advisory might be out there, and I might not have called school at all. And you might be thinking, why is this guy having us come to school when we're under a winter weather advisory? And that's because the timing of the weather event might not be until later in that 48-hour window. So just as if you're a weather watcher like I am and you're hearing about things like advisories and how we might be in one right now, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be going to school in unsafe conditions. I learned that directly from the Quad City region of the National Weather Service. So please just keep that in mind. One other, just a little reminder regarding that. Remember, advisories, the way I view them is this. Actually, I'll back up a little bit. Watches, winter weather watches, kind of mean, there might be some conditions out there in the atmosphere that could lead to a weather event. Advisories are, hey, you need to monitor it more closely. The atmospheric conditions are such that it's probably going to happen. It's those winter weather warnings that we need to be most sensitive to, which is basically, look, it's here, it's happening. You got to really be careful when you go outside. So remember, there's kind of different levels that way too. All those things are taken into consideration when we're looking at winter weather. Obviously, it's something very important for safety reasons for schools, school administrators, students, staff, and parents, and we're going to be watching as we get closer to this time of year. So again, I'm JD Orwig. Again, I was kind of weatherman for you today, but it's something that's obviously important to the schools. Thanks for watching. Have a great Christmas. Have a happy new year, and we'll talk to you in 2024.